Hello, this is Doishi here for another cheeky little League video, and this time I am joined by the illustrious Mr. Kai Sawatari. Kai, hello.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's your boy Kai Sawatari, aka Sawatarix and Magic Online.
Yeah, so Kai, you have been a very busy bee recently. Absolutely hitting the grind on Magic Online, obviously streaming a lot, doing a lot of art-related things. You obviously do altars and other sort of forms of art. How's that been?
Pretty good. I mean, I basically do all the things I like, so like together. So and people seem to enjoy it. So yeah, definitely wanna keep it going.
Sweet. So yeah, what we'll be doing today is I've pre-recorded a few matches from League, about 4 matches we've got today to look through, and we'll basically just watch over them, discuss them, any sort of interesting points to play we can talk about, or any matchups that we like, don't like, whatever. So we'll get right into it. So here we've got the list that I've been running recently in leagues: 4-color turbo, 3 personal tutors. I won't go too much into this because it's the same list as the previous video, and it's the same style that I've used for the last 3-4 videos in terms of gameplay. Kai, any questions from you about this?
Yeah, I'm curious about the mana base, because I've always felt like running 4 colors in Doomsday is I mean, it looks really powerful, but it's also ambitious a little bit.
It is greedy. It is greedy.
Yeah. Let's see how it's gonna turn out.
Yeah. So the idea behind the mana base, up until recently, there was a basic swamp in there, and I just started getting annoyed with it, so I took it out. And so we're on a full island mana base, which is how we can diversify our fetches so much. So we've got just 2 of each of the blue fetches. The only change I would make to this list in mana base, if I were to cut one of the splash colours, would be to turn the tropical island in the main into a watery grave, I think. And then say I was still keeping green, the trop would then go to the board instead of the bulk. But yeah, okay. So far, touchwood, I haven't had too many issues with mana. Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal do a good job of keeping you on what you need. And there's very few matchups you'd bring both splash colours in, so...
Right. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, in which case, we will get into it and kickstart this. So... just trying to remember how long the match timer was to find... But in the meantime, Kai, what's your normal list? Obviously, you stream a lot and stuff, and you've got quite a stock list that you like to stick to nowadays. What style do you like about it?
Yeah, so I usually tend to play either Grixis. Grixis most of the time. It's Dimir in the main and Splashing Red from the sideboard. Yesterday in the second Eternal Weekend event, I opted to play a full Dimir list, just blue-black without any splashes in the sideboard. I found that cards like Mystical Dispute and Additional Duress are only slightly worse than cards like Pyroblasts or Veil of Summer, and I kind of wanted to give it a spin anyway, because A-Cast has been huge, and I thought that Mystical Dispute might have a big game there. So yeah. Yeah,
for sure. And obviously, you've also been a sort of big proponent, not necessarily in recent times, but sort of general, of the Shellrock Isle Emrakul plan. Are you still on that as well?
Oh yeah. It's the dude. I mean, it's the sometimes it feels like a little bit of an overkill, but it does certainly feels great. So
so
it's also
Carry on. Sorry.
And it's also old school as hell. So
yeah. It's got that big Timmy vibe of pay 1 mana, cast a 15/15.
Oh, totally.
Alright, so we're finally into match 1. So we look at our 7 card on the draw. What are your thoughts on this?
Wow, this is a little slow. I would probably I would probably keep this on the play and probably mulligan this on the draw, because the Force of Will looks a little naked. And without any cantrips, and the double Dark Rituals, this hand looks a little loose on the draw. It's close though. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, my thoughts was actually Yeah, pretty similar. I decided to keep it because being on the draw, you often see me put a lot of trust in my deck. I'll put a lot of trust in my deck to give me what I need to get, and especially as I know a lot of people have eschewed like preordain, but you know I'm running 2 preordain, 1 consider, the full 8 other cantrips, so I have a lot of pieces that could hopefully get me what I need, and they lead off Swamp Thoughtsy. So my immediate thought is Reanimator.
Oh yeah, might be. Yeah, or like Pox maybe, or Ninja. It's like a lot of them.
And this, like the fact that they took Force Will over Personal Tutor, I was like, okay, it's got to be Reanimator, right? They're gonna go for it next turn, and I'm probably dead. And seeing as I don't think finding like a daze or anything would help, my thoughts I'll just try and go for the win turn 2 or close to it, and hope that you know they don't have the Reanimator hands that normally exist.
Right. Like yeah, like I mean, even if you pre-order into another Force of Will, you have to pitch the Personal Tutor, and then you're like kind of naked. So
yeah.
Okay.
So interesting pause there from my opponent. I don't know whether they were just AFK for a bit. Yeah, I was also very worried here about a Cabal Therapy hitting me on the Dark Crits.
Oh yeah,
But
totally. Ooh, okay, another Thoughtseize.
So for this one, I was sure, right, they're going to take a Preordain.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got to take the Preordain. You know, the Dark Rituals don't really do anything as a duo, and they know what my next draw is. But they take a Dark Ritual, which is interesting.
Ooh, okay, and no follow-up play.
No
Interesting.
follow-up play. So, what's your thoughts of building here? We've seen Swamp and 2 Thoughtseizers.
Like I'm not even sure if this is Reanimator, to be honest. It's a weird start. I would probably go for a pile that doesn't use the graveyard, and probably also a pile which doesn't depend on the preordain we have in hand, because they might have another discard spell. So I'm probably looking at an Ideas Unbound pile, yeah, if possible.
Yeah, so I do exactly that, but I use my preordain this turn to draw into a daze. And so that way I can daze and still have Ideas Unbound up next turn.
Yeah.
So this way I'm insulated from any shenanigans they might
Yeah,
have.
sounds about right. Okay.
So we get a Dark Ritual from opponent, which snap that daze right off. Because...
Oh yeah, tempting. Yeah. You see a lot of people who wait for the actual business spell, but it's more like most of the time, like especially because your opponent missed a couple of land drops, right? Like this Dark Ritual looks really important for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just happens. So we draw our ideas, and it just works. No main deck, my brick traps, no weird.
Yeah, have you played against this player before?
I have not, no.
Okay.
So given I play leagues very infrequently, only when the all access passes are out, I don't tend to memorize a lot of like the online players or what I've seen before, other than the very well known ones.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. So, from what we've seen, 2 Thoughtseizers and Dark Ritual off basic Swamp. What do you think we're playing against? How would you go about boarding?
Okay, so with your sideboard, Veil of Summer looks absolutely fantastic, and so does both surgical and Tomod script. I also do like the force of negations quite a bit.
Yeah, so same sort of thoughts. Bring in the graveyard hate because in my head this is probably a graveyard deck. Bring in the light protection spells, take out the discard, take out pacts because normally they aren't. Yeah, well, they're normally not interacting with us the turn that we're trying to go off ourselves, unless they're running silence, which I think I've seen from a few reanimator lists.
Oh yeah, the 4-color Evelyn and lists, right?
And things I'm cutting are the slower cantrips, lands, because basic lands
it's interesting.
are not needed.
Yeah. Like I would have probably changed the sideboarding a little bit. By like keeping more preordains and probably getting rid of Edge of Autumns.
Oh, okay, nice.
Curious.
So 7, it's got cantrips, it's got personal tutors, but it's got no interaction. Way too slow. 6, not great, but it's got a surgical in and it's got a dark ritual in. So they Thoughtseize, and what do you think they take here?
I mean, this hand is super strong against Thoughtseize. I wouldn't surprise to see any of those 5 go. Yeah. Okay, it's surgical, but again, like, you know, both Brainstorm Ponder, like even Daze and Dark Ritual, they're all fairly powerful in this hand.
Yeah.
But if they take surgical, it's a clear sign, right? Like they're almost ready to go. So.
So I'm debating here whether to play the land I drew that they don't know about or the one that they do, and have brainstorm advantage later. I elect to keep them a little bit paranoid. And we find some good things here. Yeah,
this pond is kind of insane.
Yeah. So I elect to ignore Veil. Veil's a trap here because what we want to do is have the ability to daze this turn, to return our land, and the ability to just Ritual Doomsday, Brainstorm, kill them next turn.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds good. Obviously, it's a little weak if your opponent goes like Scrubland Go, for example.
Yeah.
Right, because you don't really want to lose to silence.
Well, if they go Scrubland Go, well, oh yeah, suddenly Wasteland appears.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe not Reanimator anymore.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean,
maybe
like
Pox.
I mean, if this was Pox, then their game 1 was pretty poor performance.
Yeah. And there's the curse
but
scroll.
oh wow, okay, so it looks like it's Pox.
What
okay.
I'm confused is if it is Pox, why the Thoughtseize took our surgical.
Right. That's weird. Yeah, they could have also gone for Dark Ritual. Like if their plan is to Wasteland us, then I would have taken the Dark Ritual for sure. Or maybe it could also be like a weird hybrid of like half Pox, half Reanimator. I think I've seen something like that in Tokyo before.
Oh, okay, so like use Liliana Plus to discard a Grizzlebrand and...
Yeah, exactly, and like what is it called, the Regisaur, the 3-mana 7/6.
Rotting Regisaur.
Yeah, Rotting Regisaur, stuff like that. I mean, it is rather like a budget list, but again, you know, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to sideboard against because they got 2 plants.
Yeah. So I think it looks like I overthink for a bit, and then I'm just I just commit to the the Brainstorm pile.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, this pile loses to surgical extraction, but that's probably and the mind brick trap if they have one, but that's about it. I'm really surprised that they took surgical extraction. I don't really understand. They could have also taken like days maybe.
Yeah.
Like days dark visual seemed fine.
Yeah. What's really nice actually is if they mind break, if they go to surgical me in response to the brainstorm, I can daze the surgical and still complete the pile because the land back into my hand.
Oh yeah.
And then likewise, because of how the pile works, if they wait until they have mind break trap for the oracle, I will have days in my hand again with the oracle. So it would have to be something like mind break trap, the ideas unbound, or surgical in response to the street rate cycle.
Oh yeah, pretty much. But even if they mess up with your library, like the last 3 cards are still Oracle and Lotus Petal. So you have to pass a couple of times, but you can still. It's not like you can't win anymore.
Yeah, it should be pretty
it's looking,
advantageous.
Yes, it's looking good. Okay, nice.
Yeah, so, and by this point, I don't think there's many things that I can lose to from what I think they're on. Unless, of course, they have double mind break trap.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to use Veil of Summer, but that card is probably like absolute busted against a deck like Pox.
Yeah. Especially if they're still on, traditional Hymn to Thorax or anything like that. Yeah, so that was match 1. Relatively simple. And match 2 found nice and quickly. So once again, we seem to be losing die rolls today. And we find this lovely hand.
Please don't tell me you kept it.
No,
yeah, okay, he took a mulligan. Yeah, he's got mulligan.
I keep this much better hand.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, this hand's bonkers.
Yeah, so this hand looks great. I decided to throw away a Ponder because if for whatever reason Dark Ritual Doomsday Days doesn't get us through turn 1, I can then PT for Doomsday and try and find another ritual with the Ponder thereafter.
Oh, you mean like if they have a turn 1 Thoughtseize?
Yeah, if they have a turn 1 interaction of some sort that means... However, opponent seems to be playing fair, or at least the illusion of playing fair. Obviously, Trop, Ponder, Go could be anything. Could be Infect, could be Blue-Green Omni, could be Tess.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you put your opponent on a day stack?
Probably not these days. However, I did play against Rug Delver the other day. Which was a bit confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
I mean, okay.
So yes.
I guess we got a little lucky here. But whenever I see I'm Tropical Pollen, I'm always a little hesitant to go for a turn 1 Doomsday. Because if they have Daze and Force, then we are butt naked.
True. But yeah, so I don't know if you saw, but opponent forced pitching Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Right.
So pretty cool.
Okay, Banned Miracles.
Banned Miracles, yeah.
Yeah.
So I basically build something that takes it nice and slow, involves Cavern of Souls, and has a few answers for an endurance. That was me unable to find my basic island. Yeah. So, and seeing as we've got these cantrips in hand, we can use them to progress the pile quicker than we normally would as well.
Okay.
and I don't think the ordering of this pile matters too much, other than you probably want Oracle not on the bottom, as it were, because then that gives you the option to cast it a bit earlier if, like, the situation arises, especially as we've got this Thoughtseize coming up. We can check the way to see if we can sneak it in a bit sooner.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I think the card I don't want to see in this turn is Sylvan Library.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have the naked expressive iteration, which is really good because obviously they can't play lands off it. So hopefully they're not going to get the full value. And we see Source of Plowshares here. Now, actually, I think seeing that Source of Plowshares is quite significant off the top of my head, because I think that actually causes me forgetting about that causes a mistake in game 2. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like white gives them a lot of hateful, like mostly permanents. It's not a lot of like white spells that are good against Doomsday, but other than Angel's Grace maybe.
Yeah.
But like white has a lot of like pesky permanents. The one I like the least is probably Meddling Mage. Like either one canonist can be played around. Meddling Mage is like literally it's almost like Gadokteak back in the day against Storm, or you know, like Gadokteak said, okay, Storm can't possibly win the game. It's kind of similar with Meddling Mage. Narset, interesting.
So can't do anything about that, but at the same time it also doesn't help them too much, because, you know, it slows us down a little bit. So here I'm debating whether to cast this Thoughtseize or not.
I would probably wait a turn. So the last two cards are what, like Pact of Negation and
Cavern of Souls.
Cavern, right? Like, I mean, if you wait with the Thoughtseize for another turn, you have more info because you Thoughtseize them after they got their second Narset activation.
Yeah.
And they also have they lose a turn where, like, now they have more time to find a wasteland for the Underground Sea. Not that it really matters, but
yeah. So
okay.
what I do cast it off, and I take Expressive because Force of Negation in theory doesn't have too much text other than against this pact, and that means they need an additional. They need a pitch card or to use all their mana on the Thon, as well as having something else.
Right.
And I do cast that Ponder, despite, you know, Narset being in play, so I can make sure that I know which card I'm drawing next.
Okay.
Effectively whiffs on the Narset with the Prismatic Ending, Brainstorms, so could have pretty much anything in there.
I mean, it looks a little bit like they got a hard cost endurance maybe, right? Like the mana base is looks a little okay. Well, maybe not.
It does look a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
And because they're holding up what could be endurance, and I know they've got the Thon, I decided to just wait it out and just try and go for it. And yeah, they do have the endurance, and thankfully they do not have the pitch card for force negation there. So, against these greedy pile decks, I also like to become a greedy pile deck.
Okay.
And add in all my colours, take out my basic. Probably don't actually think about it. I probably shouldn't take out the discard spells. It's likely they'll avail, but
Yeah, I think for the most part, like discard spells are pretty nuts. Like not only do they hit counters, like your Flusterstorms and Power Blast, you can also discard Endurance or Dress Downs, things like that.
Yeah, and these 4-color soup decks are actually the ones I probably change my boarding for the most. Yeah, so that's me saying I probably should have left Thoughtseize in. Yeah, that hand's fine but anemic. This hand's got everything we want, other than a bit of protection spell. But again, if we draw like Force or Daze, Reb, Veil, any of those, we can go off turn 1 thanks to this Lotus Petal.
Yeah, just be careful. They might have a lot of interactions, so I typically don't go off against Band unless I have a lot of backup.
Yeah, the thing is though, they're 4-color, aren't they? Because they've got this red splash as well.
Right.
Yeah, we draw the Reb, which is really good. So I'm of the mindset that they're tapped out. It's their starting hand. I'm just going to jam.
Okay.
And they force pitch force, which I find actually quite scary. But, we're committed anyway, and lo and behold, it resolves.
Oh wow.
So, what do you build here?
Well, since we don't have Emrakul and Sherlock, I'll probably go for it's probably going to be a Cavern of Souls pile to beat Powder Blast, but we also need a lot of backup against Endurance and Dress Downs. So we might need a counter or two.
So here, my thoughts were exactly what you said. Are they likely to have Endurance, Dress Down, Meddling Mage? And this is a key part to the pile I'm building here. So I add the Volk in, and I'm like, okay, well, why am I adding Volk if I'm not using Red Blast? And I forget that I saw white in game 1. I completely forget that I saw white, because if you remember their lands that they had in play, they started off looking like a rug deck. They played 2 basic forests, and it wasn't until the snow-covered plains came down at the very end, which they cast Endurance. And for some reason, I just completely blanked on that, blanked on the swords that they revealed, blanked on the prismatic ending that they revealed, because they hadn't played any of them.
Right, I mean, this pile loses to Meddling Mage pretty hard.
It does, and it's almost like you've watched this video before.
Oh, okay. Is that what happens?
It is exactly what happens. So,
okay.
This is big punt on my part. I definitely should have included a Red Blast, even if I wasn't thinking about the white, exactly what you said, for Dress Down, or for any counter magic, or even like back to basics or something. And they play a Savannah. That confused me. So
yeah, okay, lights out.
Lights out. I'm just like, oh well. Guess I'm dead then. I do try something a little bit cheeky with the fake out. So, seeing as I had put a Volk in my pile, I hope to maybe prompt the concession by at some point on the final turn going Cavern Wizard, tapping out the red mana and hoping they just click scoop on the final one.
I mean, how often has that like worked out for you?
Well, a surprising number of times people just scoop at any sign of Cavern or any sign of Doomsday. So it's not unlikely, but at the same time, I think my opponent was 100% correct in ignoring my shenanigans and just playing the game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so despite having, again, you'll notice I'm incredibly inconsistent with my sideboarding. So despite having already, indicated that I probably wanted the Thoughtseize, that, maybe some of these colours weren't what I needed,
Right.
I just run it back as is.
Yeah. Maybe like a little note is if you play both Sherlock Isle Emrakul and Dust Oracle against Band, their meddling mage get like a lot worse post Doomsday, right? Because they can't name both of them. They can't name both Emrakul and Dust Oracle. But in general, blasts are really like crucial. Maybe for anyone who doesn't know, Teferi Time Raveler can also shut down Sherlock Isle Emrakul.
Yeah,
that's like another weird interaction.
It's casting the spell as a result of an ability resolving, so it is not at sorcery speed.
Right, stack has to be empty. Needs to be empty. It's weird, but like yesterday in the Eternal Weekend event, I cast Emrakul quite a few times. Oh, this is a good hand. Holy shit!
Is a great hand.
Oh wow.
And just like I've done every other game so far, I have turn 1 Doomsday plus protection. I jam turn 1 Doomsday plus protection.
Oh wow. Okay.
There's
interesting. I would have probably waited on one turn. Oh wow. Okay. It's resolved. Nice.
And this is another fun scenario. So I'm desperately trying to think of again what I want to beat, how I want to use this veil, if at all. And yeah, I think here if we had waited a turn to go off and I'd used the veil to protect, it would have been much better, because then I would have the Force of Will plus pitch while I was executing the pile, which is a lot more flexible compared to the veil. So I'm left in a bit. This is probably one of the few situations where the mana can be awkward, because obviously I want red for the red blasts because we saw Meddling Mage and we don't want to lose to Meddling Mage. I want green if I can to utilize this veil. I want to put Cavern in the pile because that obviously negates a lot of their red blasts and their forces. So yeah, this is probably one of the few scenarios where it can be a little tricky to balance all the things, especially if you don't want to go fast. And there is a big argument where maybe I should have just thrown Caution to the Wind and just jammed a Consider pile or jammed an Ideas on pile on the faster turn. But I'm definitely though at least one of those loses to Endurance, which I'm not happy with.
Oh yeah. Also, I mean, you gotta like think about your opponent's hand, right? Like, I mean, if Doomsday resolved, like, what are the remaining cards in the hand? Like, what can that possibly be?
Yeah. So things they're likely to have: Endurance plus green pitch card, very nice. I think it was Uro. Yeah, it was Uro. They pitched a Force of Will. They could have Rebs, because obviously they couldn't utilize them this turn. They could have cantrips. It's very likely they might have something like Sylvan Library, or another sort of powerful 2-drop to accrue card advantage. They could also have one of the Hate Bears or Hate Bear-esque permanents like Dress Down. So there's a lot of things that they could have. And in all honesty, I probably should have just gone for something quicker.
I mean, like, do you remember what went through your mind when building these piles?
Yeah, so what's going through my mind here is I'm trying to play around almost everything. Which, as I keep telling people in the Discord and stuff, you can't play around everything. But this is me, once again, not following my own advice.
It's tough, right? Like, yeah, like that's why I'm pact mitigation, rep blast, 2 lands, plus well, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got the fetch. We've got the fetch in hand, so we can choose which of those lands we want to access. I probably want to draw Reb first, because our first turn will be play Tarn, say go, hold up Reb, hold up Veil as needed. Yeah. Honestly, the Veil is a complete trap here, I think, because
it looks a little scary, right? I mean, you might deck yourself a Veil. Who knows?
Exactly. Like I could deck myself a Veil, or if I cast Veil and it just resolves, they could still beat me with Endurance or Dress Down.
Right.
So this goes back to actually maybe I should have waited a turn before casting Doomsday, because then the Veil wouldn't be on our hand. We'd be in additional mana up, and we'd still have access to that Force of Will.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's cool that Doomsday worked out, but I would have definitely waited the turn there.
Yeah.
Like Force of Will is so precious in our deck against Band, because it literally deals with anything they can possibly do, right? Like it deals with Endurance, with Dress Down, with counters, with literally anything. Meddling Mage. But like both Red Blast and Veil of Summer are a little limited in what they do. So like whenever possible, I try to use those first.
Probably should have waited another turn again before fetching there. Now, the main problem here is I cannot cast Veil next turn. So if I'm using Veil, I have to use it this turn. And I need to pick which colour to fight with, but my thought was if I cast Veil and it resolves, I can cantrip into the Pact and Pact the Dress Down. So that's why I elected to keep that colour over the others, but they do unfortunately have...
Exactly, so now they have to counter and just some resolves. Oh, that's a bummer, yeah. That's a bummer. Like, if we had like one more mana, we could even destroy the Dress Down.
Or if I had waited an additional turn instead of relying on Veil, then I cast off C, Trop, have Reb up, had Pact up.
Right. I guess this game kind of showcases like of how risky the card Veil of Summer is sometimes, right? Because like you had to cast it this turn, otherwise there was the risk of like decking yourself. It's strange.
So what would have been a better idea is maybe if I cast Veil first, then if they let it resolve just as is, maybe I go for it, maybe I don't. If they do cast something in response to it, like the Dress Down and it resolves, then I guess I just die. Right? Yeah. Because I draw the card, can't cast Oracle, and then I have to pass. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, go on to match 3. So, got this hand here, which is pretty good, in my opinion. It's got Daze Protection, it's got turn 2 Doomsday, Ritual Doomsday.
Oh yeah, that looks really decent. Yeah.
And I did recognise this username, First to Thirst, but I could not remember what card they're known for, what deck they're known for.
Right. Like ideally, we also don't want to daze now because like next turn, you could then oops all spells. Oh shit, we might be dead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if they had cast a ritual or anything, I'm snapping this daze off. Because what this allows us to do now is we draw Doomsday from the top, Tarn, Sea, Ritual, Doomsday, and then we've got access to Street Wraith Cycle into Force of Will.
Sure.
So this was me trying to think if there's a better way of doing it other than just Ideas Unbound. So Force Will and then Ideas Unbound, Petal, Oracle.
Yeah, that's usually the cleanest way, right? I mean, I don't know what kind of interaction they got. I don't think they run anything like Silence. I think it's mono Pact and Discard.
Yeah,
right.
Chancellors as well. Do they still run Chancellors?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
And you'll notice I'll put Oracle as the card immediately after Ideas Unbound. This is just in case anything goes wrong. That what I'll do is be able to cast Oracle with 2 cards left in my deck. So if for whatever reason Ideas Unbound doesn't resolve, then I can try and win the next turn anyway. Unlikely versus Oops, but you know, just in case. Mm-hmm. So I quite aggressively counter that Dark Ritual there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You never know. Maybe they can follow up with like more Dark Rituals into Thoughtseize and then a City Informer.
Exactly. So immediately snapping my graveyard hate cards into my deck. Discard comes out. Cavern should come out. Force of Negations plus the extra Oracle come in. Obviously it can't fight around, you know, their creatures, but we can fight rituals, we can fight Dread Returns. We can at least try and deal with whatever. Flusterstorm is a little bit questionable, but again, if I'm just trying to trade 1-for-1 with rituals.
Oh, so you don't bring in both Red Blast and Veil of Summer?
No.
Interesting, okay.
So, in this instance, we're more trying to stop them doing what they want to do than them stopping us what we want to do. So, we're trying to play a more reactive game, like a more control game. And Veil is there to both, you know, protect our hand as well as push our game plan. Whereas, in this case, we're solidly on the defensive. And we open up an almost perfect 7, I think.
Yeah, this opener looks pretty good. The deep analysis looks a little stinky, but again, with Dark Ritual, it's not like it's uncastable, right?
Exactly, and in all honesty, the deep analysis is probably being pitched to Force of Negation there. So opponent opens up on Summoner's Pact. So I let the first Summoner's Pact resolve, and they get Wild Cancer. So this way, if I can stop them going off this turn, I have them dead. And then they cast another Summoner's Pact, which is interesting. So
did you let this one resolve too?
I did, because in my head, there would have to be a lot of creature-generated mana for this to be punished, and even then, I've got Fawn plus Surgical, so if they do commit to it, I should be able to get them before any like Cabal Therapy effects hit in.
Uh-huh.
So they cast 3 Summoners Pacts in this game. And yeah, lo and behold, they do get the Undercity Informer, and they do have, I believe, a 4th Spirit Guide, which is there. So they go off for the turn. So even if their last card in hand is Pact of Negation, I'm still fine, because I can Surgical the Oracle and force the Pact. So
Right.
we go for that line with the Narcomoeba triggers on the stack, and it gets there. So
Okay, pretty clean.
yeah.
I guess Oops All Spells also doesn't have many options, right? Like they can't really mulligan a hand like that. I mean, it is a turn 1 kill. And it's kind of like one of those like hands. If you have it, then you have it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also like what they sign up for.
Yeah, and I think it's I know there's been a lot of discussion of the matchup in the Discord and stuff, with people sort of debating on how favoured it is between one or other sides. And obviously, there's a lot of pilots out there for leagues and stuff that run 4 Leyline of the Void in Doomsday, because Black Red Reanimator, Oops All Spells are both quite frequent, and between those plus 4 Force of Negations is almost the standard here, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oops is going to have quite a hard time, assuming equivalent power level hands between each side.
Oh yeah, totally. Especially in leagues, you face both decks fairly often.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're on the draw again. I keep this 7. It's got Rituals, Doomsdays, and Protection, plus mana. However, we have unfortunately lost the matchup lottery, as we see turn 1 Ragavan. Bulk.
Oh wow, it's not too bad though. It's not too bad. Okay.
So I do actually just go to Jam, because I've got this second ritual to pay for days if they have days.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that just resolves, which is really good for us. And especially as I've got Cavern of Souls already in hand, it means all I need to do is make sure I can get Oracle in my hand around this Ragavan. And with Ragavan over DRC as turn 1, it means that the pressure is a lot less. Especially as we didn't have to fetch before, we're at the full 10 life on Doomsday Resolve.
Okay, so you're going for a bunch of cyclists here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the theory is, our opponent is going to hit us with Ragavan each turn.
Yeah.
If they don't, fine. I'll still take 2 damage because I'll cycle a Street Wraith. So each time Ragavan hits me, I want it to be taking a Street Wraith out of my pile.
Okay. Yeah, you have an island there. Okay, so extra protection against Wasteland. I like that.
Yeah, so Oracle on the bottom, then Edge, because that is the cycler that doesn't lose life. And then it should be Street Wraith, then Island, then Street Wraith. So we're going to be passing 2 turns, so we're letting Ragavan hit us twice. And each time Ragavan hits us, it will be a Street Wraith it takes. Next turn we'll be playing our island, so even if they Wasteland our Underground Sea, that doesn't matter. And we'll be winning off Cavern into Oracle.
Cool. Yeah, I had it. I think I had it once in the top 8 of a challenge or so, where my Blue Red Delver opponent, he refused to attack with Ragavan post Doomsday. So it's kind of tricky. It's like against very good players, like sometimes they refuse to attack with Ragavan, which would kind of mess up our pile, right? Like if they skip 1 attack, then we draw the cards we don't want to draw, and vice versa.
In this case, it's negated by the fact that each card that we don't want to draw does the same effect as Ragavan does, which is deal us 2 damage and dig 1 deeper into the pile.
Right.
Yeah. If you're trying to next level your opponent with other cards, that isn't quite as useful. Now, there's some temptation to cast this Ponder here that's in our hand. However, that Ponder is a pitch to Force of Will. We already like the order of our deck, and this allows us to have Force plus Daze open. So
I'm very curious. Why your opponent has the Wasteland up.
Yeah.
Strange, right? Like, why would you want to do that? I wonder. Maybe they have a But this is game 1. I don't know. Maybe they have. I was thinking maybe they got like a 3/4 mana Planeswalker card, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. Like a card where they actually need the mana from Wasteland.
Yeah. Although they've now got a lot of treasure tokens, so I don't think there's a reason for them to hold this Wasteland up.
Oh, at least now it's hard cost Force of Will mana, maybe.
Yeah, true. So we get there, so they lost the chance to Wasteland. So we just go through the motions, getting 0 cards in deck, having Daze up, having Force up. And I don't think Delver has anything here other than Double Bolt that they can get us with, and even then we can try and fight over that. So yeah, we managed to steal a game against Blue-Red Delver, which is really nice. My sideboarding for this matchup is very simple. Flusterstorm, Oracle come in, Thoughtseize, and 1 Street Wraith go out.
Ooh, okay.
So, I know there's a lot of people who like to board in a lot of things, and it used to be. I had a sideboard that had like 6 slots dedicated to the matchup, and I found it didn't help my win percentage. I was still winning about 1/3 of the time, and the majority of the games I was winning, or matches I was winning, was with cards that were in my main deck anyway, and just being aggressive, getting a bit lucky.
So what were the cards you used to sideboard against Delver?
So I used for a bit I was running the Defense Grid plan.
Okay.
And that was when I was on 2 basics, so an island and a swamp. I've also tried, bringing in protection spells. Similar. So maybe if I was just on Grixis, I would bring in the blasts, or in my 4 color, I think I'd normally go for the green, so for Veil over blasts.
Right. Okay.
I've also tried the Wonder Pro special of Stifles and Wastelands. That was more for a bit of fun, actually, because I really enjoy Wastelanding Delver players.
Right.
But I wouldn't say it's the best idea. So yeah, keep 6. First lot wasn't great. What do you throw back here?
So you got rid of the rest?
I did, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I would have opted to maybe get rid of the maybe the Street Wraith.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a close call.
So my thinking is I'm unlikely to be in a position to be able to cast Duress. I always assume versus Delver that my mana base is under, forgive the pun, under duress.
Right.
Because that's the part about Delver that they can really get you on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they go turn 1 Ragavan, which is obviously what we don't want to see. However, I'm feeling relatively safe about what they could hit, because we've got the 2nd Oracle in the deck, and the only discard spell in our deck is at the bottom of our library right now.
Right. Yeah. It's I don't think I've ever won a game where they hit a discard spell with Ragavan. It's fairly impossible. It's so like how powerful this interaction is, and also like how potent discard is against Doomsday in general.
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy that Legacy is kind of discard light these days.
Oh, interesting.
Right? I mean, there used to be metagames where discard was so dominant.
Yeah.
Like thinking of things like Cobalt Therapy, Gitaxian Pro, for example. Hymn to Thorax of Shardless Buck.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. This card used to be fairly powerful in Legacy.
So here I'm basically wanting to find a Doomsday as quickly as possible. And unfortunately we don't. So if I had found a Doomsday, I'd keep the Petal in hand to act as Daze mana. But seeing as we're likely to need to pass a couple more turns, it's probably not very useful. And I think I also throw away the other Brainstorm here, maybe? Or maybe I don't. Oh, I know. I'm also thinking about what I want to, if I want to give them something with Ragavan or not.
Oh yeah. I mean, so what is the card you want to give to Ragavan?
So I think
is it the Cycler or?
I think it's mana. I don't want to get rid of the Street Wraith because the Street Wraith allows us to go off in one turn, despite that our life total would of course be pressured as a result of it.
Yeah.
And actually, in the end, I just decide to try and cast this Ponder instead. So that whole decision point was a bit moot, really. But yeah, this is great. We do find Doomsday. And what's nice is, unless our Delver opponent is incredibly ballsy, they're not likely to be able to utilize that with their Ragavan trigger. So we draw Ideas Unbound, and we stack Doomsday on top.
Yeah, sweet.
And hope that what we've got is enough.
Kind of smooth sailing so far, yeah. I would have probably drawn the Doomsday first and then top deck the Ideas Unbound, to make sure that you have Doomsday in hand. If they cost Surgical Extraction, maybe main phase or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like Ideas Unbound is not as important than Doomsday.
Yeah, and I know there have been instances where Delver players will take the approach of Wasteland Underground Sea, Surgical Underground Sea. So yeah, that does make sense quite a lot. Okay. So here I'm just going to go for it. It gets worse over time. And again, what we can do is we can have Force Up and Daze Up. Daze is obviously completely useless here. So what we can do is Force Pitch Daze if we wanted, and then cycle into like Petal, and then Ideas Unbound with Petal through an opposing Daze, which is quite nice.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so seeing as our Daze is not going to be very useful, unless specifically they hardcast Fon. Okay. And unfortunately, they do have second Force of Will plus Pitch card.
Do you cycle in response?
I think you do, although... actually, no, maybe... I'm trying to remember now. So, I think I do, but I was doing the maths as to what I'd need to hit. Oh, it would need to be exactly packed. I would need to hit exactly packed, because otherwise I can't go off this turn. And I die to them attacking, most likely, if I pass the turn.
Oh yeah. Okay, that will probably do it. Like Dragon Rage Channeler doesn't really get to Delirium that quickly. I kind of overestimate. Okay, well, that doesn't matter. Yeah. I kind of overestimated Dragon Rage Channeler. I mean, it does give a lot of card filtering, which is like nice, but in terms of like pure aggression, it is not as fast as like Delve of Secrets, right?
Yeah.
It's probably a little faster than Nimble Mongoose.
So we open with this hand here, which is reasonable, maybe a bit slow.
I like it. I mean, hand's good. Brainstorm kind of protects us from Ragavan hits, and overall, like, stable mana is kind of key.
I do actually throw it away because
Interesting.
I'm
Okay.
of the opinion that you do need to go fast in this matchup.
Okay.
However, I also don't want to go too low. So recently, I've previously been very resistant to aggressive mulligans, and from discussing with people, I've been trying to be a bit more aggressive with my mulligans.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So in this instance, I was aiming to try and hit, obviously Dark Ritual Doomsday in some form. Obviously I don't, but I don't want to go down to... I'm not as happy to go down to 5, and we are rewarded quite nicely by finding this ritual here off this preordain. And what's nice is we've got Oracle in hand, and actually versus Delver, if you can resolve Doomsday, Oracle in hand is really good for you. Because it means there's one less tool that you need to put in the pile, and one less risk in kind of going through your pile to it being interrupted, as it were. Same with how Cavern was in our hand in game 1. So opponent has the bauble, and what's important here is they are shields down in terms of mana, so we can utilize this daze really well to hopefully protect, and we've got our own mana for daze as well. So I am just jamming here. So they won't have Rebs up, they won't have daze up.
Like, if this Doomsday resolve, it's kind of nice that you already have Dust Oracle in your hand, right? Like, it makes it a little easier for you for your pile.
Exactly, yeah. So they force of negation, pitching force of will, which I find interesting. Now, if I were them, I would probably force of will rather than force of negation, especially if I'm running surgicals, because you don't want to, exile the Doomsday, as it were.
Right. Yeah, and the life point doesn't really matter. Okay.
So here I was just checking my life total to see where we'd be post Doomsday, and to see how many cyclers I could use to try and get the win. Because if our opponent had, say, Bolt, we'd be going down from 18 to 9, and then if we need to cycle a Street Wraith down to 7, which is fine, because we could get bolted twice then, and it doesn't matter too much. But we could only use one Street Wraith. And what's nice again is we've got second Oracle in hand and 2 Underground Seas in hand. So what we can do here is we can try and go Cycler. So we go Street Wraith Edge into whatever, and then we can try and cast the first Oracle. That one can, die to a Bolt, die to a Reb. If it's a Bolt, that's one less Bolt to our face. If it's a Reb, that's fine, and then the next turn we can try and cycle into land again and just try again.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I'm a little scared of them having something aggressive, right? Yeah. But I really do like cyclists against Delver. Like, there's like almost nothing worse than getting your cantrips like Ideas and Bound also counted, because that literally buys them another turn. Like, it's close to a time walk at this point.
Yeah. And I did this entire line was also assuming that my opponent would get 2 Delirium this turn. For they're currently at 3. card types.
Oh.
They're just missing
Yeah.
sorcery or creature.
Mhm. Also, like there's like a little bit of a mind game going on, right? Like is it worth dashing in monkey? Like, do they think that you build a bio based on like possible attacks or not? It's a lot of like it's a lot of mind games going on.
Yeah. So we do get to have a turn. So we're at 8. So currently they can't cast Double Bolt, which is really nice because they've only got 1 mana open. So here we do take a bit of a risk insofar as we throw away the basic island in an attempt to resolve this first Oracle by drawing Cavern. But
Oh
we
wow,
get a bit
interesting.
lucky, and
Okay, so
yeah.
so they didn't even have rep loss. Interesting.
Yeah, so they
I
might
would.
have found a Force of Will or something, or another Force of Negation, but yeah.
Okay. This line would have lost though. If they had a blast for the Oracle and then dashed and monkey, right?
Yeah, correct.
That would have. Yeah. Okay. Well.
But yeah, I found
I
against Delver specifically, you have to take a lot more risks because
Oh, yeah.
the margins are so fine as to how they can beat you. Normally they beat you by 1 mana, 1 card in hand, 1 extra spell, 1 extra turn, or like 1 extra point of life. The margins are always very fine. So you do need to take some risks and just gamble that they don't have the one thing that you're
totally. Like I mean, like whenever I beat Delva on stream or not, I feel incredibly lucky. And whenever Delva beats me, it's kind of like, okay, well, this is probably as intended.
Yeah, like I must admit, sometimes I find the match frustrating, but it's quite often, unless the Delver player does the Delver thing like perfectly, the matches can be very interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's like a lot of interaction going on. Like I guess like in any format and with any decks, if there's like a lot of interaction, I think games are good. Like I mean, the least thing I wanna see is like something like, I don't know, Burn against Tron, for example, right? Like those kind of games.
Yeah, or two oops decks passing in the night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the 4 matches of the league. Because obviously, Kai, you're a very busy man on a very tight schedule. So why don't you tell us some of the things that you do have going on and where we might be able to find you and your stuff?
Yeah. So if you wanna see more Doomsday, I guess that like nowadays there's like a lot of Doomsday content going on YouTube and Twitch. You can check out my stream. I mostly play Doomsday in both Legacy and Vintage. It's Sawatarix on Twitter and on Twitch as well. And I also got a brand new homepage. It's called Sawatarix. It's literally called Sawatarix.com. So yeah, give it a try, give it a shot.
And I'll throw links to all of those in the description of the video, so people can go check it out. You obviously, as I said before at the beginning of the video, you do like alters and art. I'm a very proud owner of a very cool Doomsday that you've altered for me, which is really
the
good.
one with the candles. Yeah.
So that's
pretty sick.
nice. So Kai is open to doing commissions, so do check out his work and his homepage. I personally think your art style is really cool, but that's
Thank you.
My personal preference.
Yeah.
Obviously, guys at home make your own judgment. But yeah,
right.
It's really
but in general, like I think it's like Doomsday seems kind of like a hard deck to play, but again, like if you watch a lot of like videos, right, hang out and streams and things like that, you might just even without playing, you might get used to it. And after all, we've made all our mistakes in the past, but I think this deck's super interesting and entertaining. So yeah, give it a try.
Yeah. And as you can see, like, I've been playing Doomsday for quite a while now. I still make mistakes constantly.
Oh yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Exactly. We're only human.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're interested, do give it a try. There's the main Doomsday Discord. Kai, you've got a Discord channel as well that has a lot of helpful info that you're very active in. That I'm mainly spamming pets and food photos in, which
I love those. By the way,
I do apologise for not talking about the on-topic stuff. Yeah, and once again, as with all my videos, there's some lovely background music going on, produced by the lovely Idolru. He's a content producer local to Bristol, UK. Makes really nice electronic music, so please do check him out as well. Links to his Bandcamp will be in the description below. But otherwise, any final words from yourself, Kai?
No, thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching, and Kai, thank you for joining me, especially
it's a
after
pleasure.
Quite a heavy weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good day.
So have a good day, and see you all guys in the next video.